Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. So one of Fender's biggest reveals at this year's NAMM was that they're re-releasing the coveted HM Strat. Now, the nostalgia factor was so real. A ton of people went nuts at the announcement. Now, I'll be honest with you, I have no nostalgic feelings towards the original released in the 80s, but it does come in pink. And that, essentially being the theme of the channel at this point, that was all I needed to see. Let's take a closer look. Now, in the interest of transparency, this video was sponsored by Fender. They compensate me for the massive amount of time it takes to put these together and priority in the review queue, but that's it. They didn't tell me what to say, and in fact, basically told me nothing about this guitar, just threw it in my direction to check out and have fun with. So there's the disclosure, let's get into it. Okay, so starting with the $30 guitar that basically launched this channel, to the Hello Kitty we threw an Evertune bridge into, to the 7-string Hello Kitty abomination I got just to see how bad AliExpress guitars are. Pink guitars have a special, unofficial home on this channel. Whenever there's a new pink guitar posted on Instagram, I'm tagged in. I don't know how things got this way, but here we are. It's my reality. We move. So one of the most high-profile pink guitars of 2020 is this reissue of the HM Strat. HM standing, of course, for heavy metal. The original was released in 1988, discontinued in 1992. Remember, Fender hadn't bought Jackson until 2002, and this shred take on the Strat was meant to compete directly with them and with Ibanez. But despite having such a short-lived initial run, it became a cult favorite. And what's great about this reissue is that Fender have not only reproduced the model, but also revived the spirit. The 2020 version is made in the same Fujijin facility as original to keep it as close to what made people fall in love with it in the first place. Before you even take into account the fact that it's limited edition, made in Japan for $1,200 new is a great price. And that's the first thing I noticed when I unboxed it. Well, besides the bright ass color that blew out half the coins in my left eye, is the build quality. It feels so solid. There's something about Japanese crafted guitars, maybe it's how meticulously they're put together, every single detail about them just seems spot on. And it comes in other 80s tastic colors too, bright white and ice blue with a rosewood board, and frozen yellow with a maple board. What's cool is that the underline on the giant Strat logo on the headstock actually matches the body finish. I actually hadn't realized that until I took a closer look just now. Realistically though, this flash pink is the one that everyone's been talking about. In fact, as the HM Strat is even more limited in production this time round, Fender themselves are out of this color, having sent all of them to distributors already. So actually, this one that I have is a demo model used for some of the photo and video shoots, and so it's got a little bit of buckle rash on the back. Other than that, even though it's had this short period of extensive use, it looks to be in pretty good shape, which says good things about the durability. But the colors that scream in spandex aren't the only thing that makes this geared towards the shred. Let's get into specs. Instead of your traditional alder or ash, the HM Strat comes with a basswood body, bolt-on maple neck with a maple fingerboard. Love the black made in Japan neck plate too, but we're only getting started with the differences. Instead of your standard Stratocaster body, the edges aren't as rounded, they're more pronounced. I guess you could say it's an edgier Strat. Goodbye to everyone that unsubbed after that pun. Again, we move, but the body outline is also smaller, so it's more like a dinky body, despite the Strat name on the headstock. In fact, this entire guitar is smaller than a typical Strat. Not like children-sized, but while the most popular Fenders are generally known for having 25.5-inch scale lengths, this one measures at 25.1 inches. I've been playing a lot of 25-inch scale length guitars lately, so it's not really something I noticed at first, until I started playing this guitar back to back with another Strat. The shorter scale length plus the much flatter 17-inch radiused fingerboard and large jumbo frets makes bends and vibrato absolutely glorious to play. And actually they're listed as jumbos, but they're absolutely massive, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess that they're actually extra jumbos, and I love it. Now, this being a relatively affordable guitar, as far as made in Japan goes, I knew there might be some compromises. One such thing is with the fingerboard edges. It's become a common thing on even mid-price guitars for the fingerboards to be rounded on the edges to make them feel more comfortable and played in. The HM Strat, I wouldn't say it's sharp or uncomfortable, but even my Made in Mexico player Telly has noticeably rounder fingerboard edges. The neck itself, though, is really comfortable. It's like an extra thin U-shape. For better upper fret access, we've got a rounded neck heel, as well as a subtle lower horn contour on the back of the guitar. With the shorter scale length and larger frets, the space between the fret wire gets almost comically small on like the 23rd and 24th frets. I couldn't tell you if it's a big problem, since it's not really someplace I generally venture to on the fingerboard anyways, but yeah. I guess it's cute. Now, when I first got this guitar out of the box, it was horrifically out of tune. The Floyd was pulling back. I mean, thanks for sponsoring the video and everything, but that was actually kind of mean of Fender. Setting up Floyds is probably one of my least favorite things to do. I legit straight up put this down and clean the kitchen to get out of setting this up for a little bit. It's not difficult, it's just time consuming and annoying to balance everything out, which is why I haven't owned a Floyd equipped guitar in years. Once you get it set up though, it is so much fun. Dive bomb central. And I will admit, it's even more satisfying when you set it up yourself. It's like you earned that shit. I'm not sure why they went with a Floyd Rose Special though. Maybe that's something that was used on the original. I'm not gonna say it's bad, especially when you get over the initial Floyd high and stop abusing the crap out of it by dive bombing every 2 seconds. But there's definitely better. The Korean Floyd 1000 is always a solid bet for guitars in this price range, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't go with that. The Special, and bear in mind, I barely used Floyds, it feels solidly average. The trem movement is smooth, the saddles are surprisingly comfortable for palm mutes, but the thumb screw fine tuners are kind of tight. They don't move as freely as I'd like. I mean, there's nothing that wrong with this Floyd. It just stands out because it's one of the few areas that doesn't match the overall high quality feel. Or a Goto would have been cool too to match the tuners. They're Goto die-cast, and yeah, if you've ever played Gotos, you know what they're about. Super solid, even though realistically, since you've got the locking nut, you won't be using them that much. But you'll never find me complaining about having Goto tuners on anything. Something that's occasionally a concern I have with Fender guitars in particular, especially when it comes to chug style playing, is that the control knobs can be positioned too close to the bridge. It's useful for volume swells and stuff, but it can get in the way of your picking hand. So you'll notice that this control layout is quite unique. It's got these giant F-stamped top hats with rubber grips, which is really excessive and totally fits this guitar. The master volume is positioned further away from the bridge pickup, very nice. Then you've got the 5-way pickup selector and a mini toggle to split the bridge pickup. Not gonna lie, it's a little cramped and the position of the mini toggle looks a bit like it was a DIY mod, but that was part of the charm of the original, and they've brought it back to stay true to this guitar's heritage. And speaking of this guitar's heritage, that segues us nicely into the pickups. This set seems to have been custom made specifically for the HM Strat. And in fact, Fender worked directly with the team at Fujijin to make sure they replicated the originals as closely as possible. So the bridge is a super hot 16K model, similar to the hot rodded humbuckers that were popular at the time, and even the singles have been overwound to give it a bit more savagery. for lack of a better term. Alright, so let's hear what it sounds like outside of a mix. I'm running the same signal chain as I used in the demo track. So that's the Peavey 6505 Plus lead channel, slightly boosted with the Horizon Devices Precision Drive for that little extra tightness, using Glenn Fricker's Lancaster 4x12 Mesa IR. And then clean tones are handled by the DSL 100H with the built-in reverb into a 2 notes Silver 77 2x12 IR. I mean, yeah, it's built for the high gain stuff, and it handles that very well. That's not to say at all that it can't do the clean stuff. In fact, I was surprised just how well it cleans up in the neck and middle positions, or even splitting the bridge is great for getting that characteristically Stratty sound out of this heavy metal themed guitar. Alright, as a fan of very traditional, almost boomer style single cuts, that meme's still relevant? No? Fuck it. I feel like you guys intentionally point me in the direction of stuff like this. It's like totally not my style of guitar, except, I mean, I guess it is pink. Besides the overall air of quality, this doesn't feel like a traditional Fender. If you consider early Jackson or Ibanez as knocking off a Strat with more modern specs, this is like Fender knocking off themselves. I mean, clearly completely different vibe to what most people think of when they hear the name Fender. And as I said, $1,200 for a made in Japan Fujijin guitar, that is a great price for the insane build quality. And that's really what I come back to every time I pick this guitar up. Not a massive fan of the Floyd Special, and I don't mind the standard gig bag for that price. The Fender gig bag is one of the nicer stitched and padded ones, but I kind of wish that this being a limited edition, it came with something more fitting with the theme. Maybe bright pink or something to match the outrageous finish. I don't know, just an unsolicited suggestion for the next time around. So if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit the like button. These are of course just my opinions, and I'd love to know what you think, so leave them down in the comments. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. That actually really helps out. Thanks to Fender for sending this guitar for the review, and to Luke for mixing everything. Social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.